Welcome back to another wonderful episode of 52 Weeks of Gaming. As always, I'm here to pretty much do nothing and let Nick talk the entire time. So, without further ado, Nick. So, this week, playing some Gwent because apparently I never actually did a video in Gwent like I thought I did. So, I'm doing a video in Gwent where it's the Witcher card game and it's just Gwent by itself. So I'm gonna play some games. Hopefully, my skills from The Witcher 3 carry over into the actual card game itself. But we'll have to wait and find out. So yeah. So as it says in the title, Gwent is a Witcher card game, meaning that it's based on the Witcher series itself. It's based on the mini game that's in Witcher 3, which was a mini game, but so many people enjoyed it and it became so popular that they just had to go and make a standalone game for it. And it came out, they had a beta for it, which they went and tried out some stuff and some working. And card games are a bit tricky field to go and enter into because there's so few of them, but you have to maintain some sort of enjoyment for people to go and stay into it. And so they had the beta, they kept going, and the fans of The Witcher stuck with it and brought it into a full release, and it's been going strong. They do have an expansion coming out soon. I believe it's called The Crimson Curse, which is based on vampires, oddly enough, Crimson Curse vampires, and it's just going to keep going strong and kind of be that next part for the Witcher franchise to kind of stay involved. So, with all of that in mind, let's send it back to Nick so he can tell us what he thinks of the game. So, I'd just like to point out that Gwent as a standalone game is so much different from Gwent as a Witcher 3 minigame. I mean, the basic concepts are there. You have these same 5 decks of Northern Realms, Nilfgaard, Monsters, Skeletal, and Skelly, and you have neutral cards which can go into it, and each has their own strength, and you have the Rose and Leader abilities which are unique to each deck, and so you can kind of go and play how you want there, but the standalone adds in some other features like orders and artifacts, and they change the values of each card to kind of make it a bit more fair. I mean, when you go and play it as a mini game, the whole purpose is for it to be somewhat balanced, but it's a mini game. It's not supposed to be super fleshed out, and so when you have it as a standalone, you kind of have to make sure that the balance of the game is consistently there. So cards that are considered heroes in Witcher 3 and super strong are not super strong in the standalone. I mean, for a perfect example, one that I can go and think of is Geralt of Rivia himself. That his card, he has now multiple cards based on the different spells he uses, and there's no one card like in The Witcher 3 where it's like 15 strength and you're absolutely going to go and destroy it. Sure, there are strong cards, but there's not anything that's super overpowering, and it's interesting because of it being a standalone game and it being a card game. You have to go and kind of, as I said, maintain that balance. So even new cards that you go on add and that they're going at packs, that it needs to go and maintain this balance. And probably because of all of that, I'm not good at it at all. Doesn't mean it's not fun. I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic, and I still love Gwent. It's just so much more difficult as a game in a whole, and maybe part of that is because you're going against CPUs who are relatively easy in Witcher 3, and now you're going against other people and actual people who are playing and kind of trying to figure out strategies, and you have to unlock cards to be able to go and put them in your decks and use different things to strengthen your deck. And in the game, it was just, oh, you found this card. Okay, so you can go and put it in. Now you have to get the scraps, which then you can convert into a card, and you choose which card you convert it into. But again, each value is a bit different. So as someone who played the Witcher 3 version of Gwent, jumping into the standalone version of Gwent, it was night and day. And as a card game, as a whole, because I feel like those games are kind of few and far between. It's a lot of fun. Again, there is a high ceiling to it, so it is a bit difficult to go and learn it. But I think if you play it enough and you figure it out and you stay with it, that it's like any card game. It's like Magic. It's like Yu-Gi-Oh. It's like Pokemon. It's like Hand of Fate, which I played, which is another card game. It's like all of them that it requires time. Time is the biggest thing you need to go and put into it, and I think with more time I would be better. I think with more time I would actually win a game. So as always, who would you say is someone that would want to go and play this game, play the Gwent card game itself? I think anyone who's a fan of the Witcher series would really enjoy Gwent because all the cards are based on characters and things inside the games themselves. Some voice work in when you play each card and some bits there, and it's tied into the universe as a whole. So it's similar to I want to say like how Hearthstone's tied into the Blizzard universe, that Gwent's tied into the Witcher universe. So first, I would say again, people who play the Witcher games. Second, I would say people who enjoy card games should go and do it because it's a unique card game that you have your different abilities and rules to it to go and figure out, and a pretty good tutorial on what to go and do and kind of explaining the different steps. And then from there, they very much just throw you into the deep end and say, okay, we did a tutorial, you're done, go at it. So I would say those two groups of people would be main. Anyone could go and try it. It's free, so it's not like it's the only time it's going to, I would say, cost money is if someone's wanting to go and get those scraps and pay for the kegs, which have cards in it, so you can kind of put money into it if you want to, but it's not absolutely necessary to do so. Do you think you're going to go back and play it anymore? I mean, you've talked before about how much you love Witcher 3 and you want to go and do more involving the overall franchise itself. Do you see yourself sticking with something like Gwent? Yeah, I see myself playing some more of it in the future and keeping with it. I know initially when they released it, I was like, oh, I'll go and do a review for it. I'll go and do a little video and go and post it as kind of like a here's the beta. And I knew nothing about The Witcher at the time, so I felt like it wasn't really necessary. That was over a year ago when the beta was out, so I was like, oh yeah, I went and did the video. I completely remember doing that, and I didn't do anything like that. So that's why I played Gwent this week, and so I can see myself going back time to play a game or two just to kind of pick it up and see how I do there. So it's my overall thought on it. I mean, it's a fun game, as I said. It's nothing really else to describe it except a fun game.